Hi guys, the other day I made this amazing bacon jam, and while it's great on all sorts of things, I served it up with some creamy burrata cheese, which is really like mozzarella but much creamier on the inside. I also served up some toasted baguette and a few different pickles, some cornichon, pickled pearl onions and capers, to recreate a kind of a shared starter I had in a really nice restaurant in Dublin a while back. Start off by mixing up a few ingredients that might sound crazy, but trust me, this really works. First, you'll need 200 milliliters of strongly brewed coffee, then 125 milliliters of cider vinegar, 70 milliliters of good maple syrup, 3 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. This will give a really nice caramelly flavour to it. And add a generous teaspoon of smoked paprika and mix all that up really well. This is all going to give a really nice smokiness to the bacon. Then set it aside while you take 1 red onion, peel it and dice it up pretty finely. Then add it to a bowl for later and take a whole bulb of garlic and break it up into its cloves, peel all the cloves and then crush the cloves into the onion as well, because they'll be added at the same time. If you don't have a garlic crusher, just use a microplane grater or just chop it up as fine as you can with a knife. Then set those aside while you chop up your bacon. I have 1.5 pounds here of streaky smoked bacon, and just chop it up really small, as finely as you can, because you don't want to be blitzing this later in a food processor. You'd like it to be a nice consistency when it's done. Eventually, when you get through all that, it's time to start cooking. Take a large casserole or frying pan and just pile in your bacon. Now stir it around over a high heat for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on if your bacon has water added. If it does, that water has to leach out of the bacon first and evaporate off it before your bacon will start to take on a bit of a golden brown colour. Then pile in your onion and garlic and stir fry for about 5 minutes until the onion starts to go a little bit translucent and soft. Don't worry if you have that brown forming at the bottom of the pan either. That's all going to come loose and dissolve at once you add your liquid later, and it's going to give such a nice flavour. So after about 5 minutes, add your crazy coffee, maple syrup, cider, sugar, paprika concoction and bring it to the boil. Be sure to stir it in really well and try to help the brown bits at the bottom come loose. Then allow it to boil for about 5 minutes before you turn the heat down to low and let it simmer uncovered for about 1.5 hours. In the meantime, I cut up a baguette, or you could use any crusty, preferably white bread you'd like. Just cut it into nice individual slices before transferring it to a baking sheet. Drizzle over just a little bit of olive oil and brush it in. Then flip them over and do the same on the other side before you transfer them to a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius and leave them there for 10 minutes or until they start to go nice and crunchy and golden. You'll know your bacon jam is ready when it goes really nice and thick and syrupy like this. Remember, this is still hot, so once it cools it will firm up another bit, but you definitely don't want it to be any more liquidy than this. I like the consistency like this when it's a little bit chunky, but if you want it to be a little smoother, you could transfer it to a food processor and pulse it once or twice, or blitz it up until it's really smooth if that's what you prefer. Now just take it off the heat to allow it to cool. As it cooled, I just pushed all the bacon to one side of the pan to let all the fat flow out, because you don't want all that to stay in the jam or to be really greasy and horrible. Then I took a clean mason jar and carefully spooned all the jam into it. This will now last up to a month in the fridge and is so good on everything from burgers or sandwiches, mashed into mashed potato, or spread it on toast for the best avocado toast of your life. When plating up, I was trying to be fancy like the restaurant I got this starter in, so I used a slate and took a small bowl, filled it with the bacon jam, then piled on the toasted baguette. Then I fanned out a few big fresh basil leaves for the cheese to sit on. Then I piled on the various pickles, which I think worked really well with the sweet, salty jam, and it was just so good. There's vinegar in the jam as well, so the pickles really complement that. Then just take a piece of baguette and pile as much of everything as you can onto it and just enjoy. This is so good. I hope you tried yourselves. I hope you liked this recipe. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media if you like. All the links to my accounts are in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.